very warm welcome back to Xi'an. Located in the Shaanxi province here in China, the first ever WST ranking event in a region that is steeped in history dating back thousands of years. These days, Xi'an is celebrated as the cultural, financial and education centre of the region, and today we have arrived at the quarter-finals day, where by the end of play we will have just 4 players left in the battle to become the first ever Xi'an Grand Prix champion. Up first for us on table 1 today, Matthew Selt, 39 years of age from Romford, former Indian Open champion, or better yet, reigning Indian Open champion, as the tournament was never staged again. He's looking for a first appearance in the last 4 since his run to the final of the Turkish Masters way back in 2022. But today his test is a stern one. He needs no introduction, Ronnie O'Sullivan. Won everything there is to win in the game and would love to tick this box come Sunday and get his hands on the trophy. He hasn't really had to get out of second gear so far this week. An aggregate score of 20 frames won and 3 frames lost tells you everything you need to know about this man. And there's the roar. The crowd are absolutely loving this. A privilege to witness this man at the table, doing what he does best. A genius. Ronnie O'Sullivan enters the arena. First to 5 again for a place in the semis. The Xi'an Grand Prix coming to you live and free on Matchroom Live. WST.tv for table 2 live scores. World champion Kyron Wilson taking on China's last man standing, 26-year-old Zhu Si. Fergal O'Brien alongside me once again, and it's right, isn't it? Ronnie just has not been tested so far this week, but Matthew Selt, a very experienced professional, the greatest of all time, Ronnie O'Sullivan, breaking off in what he hopes is the last frame of this match. 4-2, he leads Matthew Selt. Won everything there is to win in this game, Ronnie, and he'd love to get his hands on the trophy come Sunday and become the first ever Xi'an Grand Prix champion. Another good pot from Matthew Selt from deep in baulk. That type of shot has become so key in the modern game, to be able to knock that pot in and get the first opportunity, the first scoring opportunity of the match, or the frame, sorry. And it's important for Matthew Selt to try and get in as quickly as possible because, as you can see, he's pretty much got to play perfect snooker now. He can't afford to make the mistakes he has done so far today.
Yeah, the last time he pot that red a couple of frames ago, he made a century. Again, you can see where he put the tip of his cue. He'd love to tap the white there from that black. Go into the pack, or even we wanted to play the red beside it. Yeah, just, you can see there, he addressed the white in a couple of different positions. He's not convinced he can get exactly where he wants. Might go up for the blue.
5.
He even felt going up for the blue, he had to be a little bit too precise. He's going to work his way down. A couple of reds he can play for. One into the right hand, left corner. Yeah, that bit of applause tells you he's on this red. That red directly above the black is the crucial shot for this whole frame. If you can leave the white more or less where it is now, and potting that red, it's guaranteed to open the reds. If you can control it for the black, it'd be a brilliant chance. Just ran on a little bit extra.
17. 18.
the new red that's bottom of the pack. You could do something similar if you can get on it. Yeah, I think he's just looking at there. So plan B.
But this now a much more difficult shot to actually get the cue ball out of there. He may be topping it through. He may go a little lower and try and stun the cue ball through a little gap and go up for pink or blue, but choosing to bounce the cue ball over the pack. We saw a very clever shot like that from Kyron Wilson yesterday, and Matthew Selt there playing that one very nicely. Digging a little bit lower into the cue ball with pace, cueing down on it, allows for that response. Get the cue ball jumping over the reds, a clever shot. And on the subject of Kyron Wilson, you may have heard a wave of applause from across the other side of the arena. He is the first man through into the semi-finals. Kyron Wilson, the world champion, 5-1. He's just defeated Zhu Si. The winner of this match will play Kyron tomorrow in the semi-finals. Nice shot again from Matt Selt there. Bit of a stretch, that one, having to play it with a trace of left-hand side. The wrong side, really, for that type of shot. Played it nicely.
42.
Back in prime position.
$49. 50. Yep.
In amongst the balls today, certainly been positive and decisive. Not looking for problems. Not making any shot bigger than it is. It's also been a good contribution when you consider he must have been disappointed to lose the last frame with the chances, and in particular the missed yellow that he
55.
had.
$56.
But I think the last couple of years, probably working with Chris Henry has helped. Just more even temperament. Staying that nice and calm, focused.
$61. $62.
Okay, just this back now, put him 69 ahead. Obviously loving it after it, just to totally put the frame to bed. And that's why he's giving this shot an extra second or two. Very easy to switch off. I think just because your opponent needs a snooker, leave the frame one. Nice appreciation from the crowd.
69.
Just looking at the possibility of that a plant. That'll make things a bit easier. Looks good.
7.
An excellent break from Matt Selt. Again, it just proves the point I mentioned earlier. Even for Ronnie O'Sullivan, if you leave a red from the break off, don't be surprised if a top pro wins the frame. Last 2 frames now he's left that red. Last 2 frames he's been punished and punished
75.
severely.
Yeah, the frame after the interval, Matthew Selt got
76.
straight in from that shot, compiled a break of 102. He's looking for something similar here. Again, a goal of Matthew Selt this season is to score heavier. He wants to make more century breaks.
83.
So he'll continue to
84.
keep himself in the zone here as he mops these final few balls up. Doesn't matter how good you are, what reputation you have in the game,
89.
when you sat in your chair, there's nothing you can do, and that's what Matthew Selt has got to continue to do, to keep Ronnie confined to his seat. We thought he'd have to play near perfect snooker if he's going to turn this one around, and this has been a perfect frame for Matthew Selt.
97. 98.
So that blue cements the century break, but the total clearance still on, and Matthew Selt will again be focused to clear these remaining 6 colours.
105.
Although with that shot he may struggle. Choosing to pot the pink obviously is a foul, but more than good enough that break of 105 from Matthew Selt to go along with his break of 102 in the 5th frame. He's keeping his hopes alive here in Xi'an, trailing Ronnie O'Sullivan 4 frames to 3. So Matthew Selt back out into the arena, keeping his hopes of continuing in the Xi'an Grand Prix alive. Trailing Ronnie O'Sullivan 4 frames to 3 in a race to 5. Played the perfect frame there, another century break, 105 to go with his 102 already in this match. We'd like something similar again.
You can hear that sigh of frustration there from Ronnie. Not just missing the red, but catching the black, keeping the white down here. Not choice of reds, black in play. Following on from that lovely century. I'd describe this as another good chance.
1.
Not to win the frame on one visit, but certainly get well in control of it.
Eight. 9. 14. 15. 22.
Again, Matt continuing on from where he left off in the last frame. Similar to the last frame, these choice of reds at the bottom of the pack. If he gets on one of them nicely, be able to pot that, guaranteed a split and still stay on the black.
So,
I think it's worth playing the red closest to the pack. Just all depends on the angle, whether he can run through or does he need to stun into the pack to disturb them and then nearly flop out the other side. And
31.
just developed another one out to the left-hand side. We'll have to go into them again. But looking very focused, totally engrossed in what he's trying to do, not aware of the score or his opponent.
$38.
Looking to drop this red in and play the black into the same pocket. Again, depending on the angle of the black, he could go into the pack from the black or then play for that red. I mentioned a couple of moments ago, going from there.
$39.
Well, he's not ideal on this blue. If he's straight enough, he may can come back for the red into the right corner pocket past the pack. Just looking at the contact he's going to make on the cushion to see if he can get there. Been a long time since Matthew Selt has been in the final four of a ranking event. To go back to the run to the final he had in the 2022 Turkish Masters. Good pot again from Matthew Selt. He's shown us some good battling qualities here. Digging in, digging deep.
44.
That's what he had to do. And the last frame and a half have been very impressive from Matthew Selt, keeping Ronnie right there in his seat.
$45.
Looks to come far enough on the blue. Looks like he can play this right into the pink. Should open them everywhere. Didn't catch it, ideally full in the face. But when it came off the cushion, you can see this little bit of side. And it worked out well, just this glance on that red there.
Yeah, he might have been on nothing had he not got that contact to the red, but look at the result. Absolutely perfect now, Matthew Selt, to win this frame.
51.
With a real possibility of a third century of this match now. A third century from him.
56. $57.
Matt, very good friends with Stephen Hendry over the years.
64.
Stephen Hendry wouldn't be
65.
a bad man to talk to if you're looking to improve your break building. Again, similar to the last frame, he's taken these very well.
72.
And in no time at all, Ronnie O'Sullivan looks on as he watched Matthew Selt not missing all of a sudden. Massive frame obviously coming up, a deciding frame for a place in the semi-finals, but from what we've seen from Ronnie O'Sullivan so far today, and this week really, you know, he's going to have to find another level, because Matthew Selt certainly has.
$87. 88.
The possibility of a third century for Matthew Selt would be more than good enough to win any match against
95.
anyone, but he's still got another frame to win. Oh, as he misses the black, would you believe it? No third century of the match for Matthew Selt, but a 95 to go along with his 102 and 105 breaks already. He's forced a decider here in the Xi'an Esports Centre. 4 apiece, a one-frame shootout for a place in the semi-finals. A warm applause from the crowd as the players both re-enter the arena. Ronnie O'Sullivan and Matthew Selt fist pumping as they set off with a one-frame shootout ahead of them for a place in the semi-finals. It was 10 years their first meeting. Ronnie O'Sullivan against Matthew Selt in the 2014 UK Championship. Matthew Selt has never got close to beating Ronnie O'Sullivan. Could this be the day?
That 3 times before, Ronnie left him that red. Matt had potted. Twice he won the frame from it. That was a little bit more difficult, a bit thinner. There's pressure on this red.
Well, that's a brilliant pot from Ronnie O'Sullivan. That red was very tough and made even tougher by the fact that cue ball was always going through the reds. Now, one good pot here, and this could be a glorious opportunity. He's given us no reason to believe that he may come through this match, albeit he got to 4 first. He's not played all that well, Ronnie O'Sullivan, today. He's not scored like we often see him do, but he's won the odd frame that have been close. What a time to turn it on.
8.
And if anything, you just get a sense that Matt's 2 great breaks has inspired him rather than intimidated him.
$13.
Throughout his
14.
career, he's won 170 deciders, works out about 62%.
$21.
Can you just feel a couple of shots? See that cluster of 4 above that red? You feel that's going to be crucial to deciding this frame and match, as he's trying to work out a plan of attack and solve the puzzle. There's an option here if you could get parallel the black. Yeah, depending on this angle, could he stun into, or maybe even beside the pink there's a little cluster of 4. Could disturb those to be on the one to the right corner.
Any snooker player will tell you
29.
that when you've not been playing at your best for the duration of a match, it's very difficult to just turn it on
30.
with the flick of a switch. Ronnie O'Sullivan took the opportunity to leave the arena after that previous frame and may have had words with himself in the mirror, as we probably all have down the years in the bathroom, but the best players, they always manage to find a way to just reignite
35.
that form, and Ronnie O'Sullivan straight in this frame. A little bit of work still to be done.
Yeah, same
36.
issue he had a couple of minutes ago. I'm not sure what his plan is. Maybe the red to the right-hand side. Does that go? Uncharacteristic miss, but more
36.
importantly, uncharacteristic that he left himself in that position where he had to pot it and relying on a good split. Usually by the time he's got to 30 or 40, he's already developed all the balls in the open. Again, nobody more pleased with that than Matt. He'll be even more pleased if this plant is on.
One.
That's just come up the wrong side, really, of the pink. Wanted to be a little straighter on it. Now the cue ball is travelling away from the reds. Just taking his time to figure out where best to leave his cue ball. You know, Ronnie O'Sullivan in first in this frame. Matt may have been sat in his chair, almost resigned to the fact that, as he so often has in the past, Ronnie, a one visit in a decider, possibly fancied not getting a chance, Matthew Selt, but he has got that chance now. At least to say he was involved in this deciding frame. And that was a very tough red he's took on there and played it nicely. The extra bit of weight on the back of the cue, not necessarily something you're all that used to playing with. Played it well enough.
So
in the next few shots, he'll be looking for a path to try and get into that little cluster of 4 reds beneath the pink. The obvious ball to go into them would be from the pink, but can he find an angle? He's very straight on this red. He can manipulate a little bit of angle from it. Oh, he's come across that. Didn't like it.
13.
Wanted more angle on that red.
Frame and match might well come down to this little mini game. Who puts the next red gets the next chance. Let's see about Matthew's reaction. Bad mistake. Should have been nowhere near that middle pocket.
Yeah, and Ronnie, good pot to right middle pocket, trying to get the cue ball far enough over for an angle on this pink, and he has got an angle, but the wrong one to get into those reds. So looking at the 2 reds nearest the balk area, trying Trying to really nip into that cue ball, catch the screw back early. Made a very good job of that.
7.
So, red colour. He'll be looking for an angle off a colour to get into those reds, knowing that he has got that one remaining red near the balk area as an out shot should he need it, to then re-find an angle. He's going to have to play a cannon to those reds at some point.
Eight.
Does have the brown here. Just wants to miss the middle pocket. Little touch of left-hand side on the cue ball. It looks good. Brilliant shot from Ronnie O'Sullivan. Left himself in an area where he was always going to have an angle to play that shot, and he played it perfectly, and that now surely the winning shot of this match.
Nineteen.
It'd be very interesting to hear Ronnie O'Sullivan's thoughts on how he feels he's played during this game. It makes no difference, because he is going to be through to another semi-final.
26.
This red to seal the deal.
27.
All things considered, it's been a good day at the office for Ronnie. He's got the job done, he's got the W, and that's all that matters. Matthew Selt will be bitterly disappointed. A very good comeback. He's put in a good shift himself, to be fair. You can see the disappointment just leaving his body there, showing us exactly how he's feeling, deflated. But he's never gone close to even beating Ronnie, and today he has done. Not quite managed to get the job done, Matthew Selt, but a good week nonetheless.
35.
Well, that red doesn't go in, but the handshake will be incoming. Ronnie O'Sullivan, as he so often does, finds a way to win the rocket into another ranking event semi-final. 5 frames to 4. He's beaten Matthew Selt here on table 1. Only a couple of breaks of 50 plus